Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You're such a child, Regis. You're such a child.
I don't like the laws between one nation under God.
Good evening, everyone. No protest. All right, let's start off with roll call, please.
Yes, Councilmember Bozick.
Here.
Councilmember Rivas.
Here.
Councilmember Conover. Councilmember Grant. Here. Councilmember Jessen.
Here.
Councilmember Larson. And Councilmember Witten.
I'm here.
Okay, Vice President.
Okay, and just FYI, Jeff should be here shortly. Next up, we've got our first reading, please.
Yes, notice the taxpayers.
Before we get to that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the council minutes from June 26th.
Well, hold on real quick. We were still finalizing those, so she's typing them up. Just finishing them up.
We're still not done with them?
No, because the last meeting was so much, she's typing them up verbatim.
All right, I withdraw my motion.
Thank you. Ms. Vicki, back to the
Yes.
first reading, please.
Notice is hereby given to taxpayers of
not.
Porter County, Indiana, that the proper legal officers of Porter County, Indiana will meet in the Porter County Government Administration Building located at 155 Indiana Avenue, Valparaiso, Indiana, on July 31st, 2018, at 5:30 p.m. to consider the following additional appropriations in excess of the county budget for the year 2018 and to transact any further business which might come before the council. County Trail Covered Bridge Fund, 1134. $4,850. Stormwater Fund, $1182. Consultants, $50,000. Contractual services, $350,000. Sheriff Pension Fund, $1193. PERF, $35,000. Grant Fund, $8150. $5,202.73. Parks Grant Fund, $8153. $5,000. 93.268, Health Immunization Grant Fund 8205, hourly 27,300, FICA 2,088.45, office supplies 263, medical and dental supplies 810, training and education 32,914, postage $1,408, maintenance agreements 2,930, furniture and fixtures over 100, 370, other equipment $400, Coastal Management Grant Fund 9102. Building maintenance, $1,087. ArcelorMittal Pond and Prairie Grant Fund, $9124. Building maintenance supplies, $1,533.16. Adult probation, pretrial grant fund, $9164. Salaries, $38,988. FICA, $2,982. PERF, $4,367. Medical life insurance, $17,380. Salaries, $39,616.59. FICA, $2,880. $54.94. Medical life insurance, $14,018. PERF, $4,436.97. Taxpayers appearing at such meeting shall have the right to be heard thereon. The additional appropriations is finally made will be referred to the Indiana Department of Local Government Finance, which will make a written determination as to the sufficiency of funds to support the appropriations made. Within 15 days of receipt of certified copy of the action taken, signed Victor Danik, Auditor of Porter County, published July 20th in the Chesterton Tribune.
Thank you, Ms. Vicki.
Okay.
Okay, first up this evening, we have the Family and Youth Services Bureau. You guys can come on down. We've got Ms. Lisa Jordan, retiring President and CEO, introducing the new President and CEO, Ms. Belinda Jorkoff. Or George F., excuse me. Sorry.
Well, good evening.
How you doing today?
You're doing well, and thank you for giving us some time this evening, and I know you have a lengthy agenda, and so we will be as brief as we can. In the past, when I have appeared in front of the council during budget hearings, a lot of what I've ended up discussing is the impact of children being removed from their homes in Porter County and what our CASA program has been doing. So I brought our program manager, Sarah Fink, to discuss that with you and to give you an update. But before, as you mentioned, I am retiring at the end of this year, and although Belinda has accompanied me to the budget hearings, you have not formally been introduced to her, so I wanted to introduce you to Belinda. She's been with our agency for almost 10 years, has a lengthy history in youth service and counseling. She's been a program manager for our agency, a number of programs before moving into the vice president position.
Welcome into the new position.
Thank you.
Glad to have you.
Appreciate that. If you have no questions of her, I want to introduce Sarah, and I'm going to move out of the way so that she can have the microphone.
Anyone have any questions?
Sarah has done a wonderful job managing that program during the increasing in numbers, so she has an update.
Well, hello, and thank you very much for allowing me to speak to you this evening about CASA, and specifically the impact that the nationwide drug epidemic has had on the court-appointed special advocates right here in Porter County. If I could start just by giving you a little bit of background about CASA, the program, and the role of CASA, so that you can have an idea of the full scope of what we're tasked to do. Let me start by, as you're probably aware, the Porter County CASA program is a member of the National CASA Network. And here in Porter County, we've existed as a program of the Family and Youth Services Bureau since 1989, so we're going on 30 years here. The CASA role is to ensure that the best interests and needs of abused and neglected children who come through the court system due to no fault of their own are not lost in the overburdened child welfare system, but remain the focus of the court. The parents of children removed from their homes are appointed public defenders, but the magistrate appoints a trained CASA to be the voice of the child in court. The judge expects and depends on the CASA to get to know the child well, to interview all the parties involved with the case, and then to report to the court on what is in the child's best interest and what's needed to plan for the child's future. A CASA continues to monitor court orders and visits with the child monthly, attends all related meetings and court hearings, which happen about every 3 months. They document all of their activity in our database, and they maintain ongoing contact with the child until that child is placed in a safe and stable environment. And judges around the country have said that the input of CASA in their courtroom is the most important thing when it comes to deciding what to do, what's best for a child. Our own magistrate has called CASA her safety net. Statistics show that children do better when they're appointed a CASA. They spend less time in care and foster care on average, and they return less frequently to the system, and they do better in school with the involvement of a CASA. One thing we're proud of here in Porter County that we're happy about is that it sets us apart from many other programs too, but it's also what makes things a little bit more challenging for us here, is that we see 100% of the kids that come through our court system. We are taking care of all of them. That's not the case everywhere. But anyone who has adjudicated a child in need of services will be assigned a CASA. And we want the children in Porter County to find permanency as quickly as possible. That happens better with a CASA. We know that that's required, that permanency for a child to thrive. Here in Porter County, the number of children served ages 0 to 3, which is a crucial developmental stage of children, has increased here in Porter County from 7 kids in 2014 to 133 last year in that age category. So our mission's really as important as ever. In the earlier years of CASA, a volunteer may be assigned a case where there were unclean conditions in the home or unsafe conditions in the home. The program used to get by without a whole lot of money on recruitment and retention efforts or public awareness efforts, but that's no longer the case. The role of the program and its staff is different now. Things have changed, and the expectation demands are different due to an exponentially increasing number of kids that are coming through with a lot more complex cases. I just wanted to give you some numbers here about the drug epidemic that's in large part responsible for these stunning increases. Drug poisoning or overdoses is now the leading cause of all deaths for Americans under the age of 50. Statistics show there's a direct correlation between overdoses and over-prescription rates. And I'm saying that because, having said that, Indiana ranks 9th in the country for over-prescribing, and the Porter County rate even supersedes that average. Indiana ranks 16th in the nation for overdose deaths and 2nd in the country for underreporting. One study estimates that 1 in 5 babies in Indiana are born with NAS, or neonatal abstinence syndrome, and Indiana has the highest rate of children in the child welfare system than any surrounding state. Here in Porter County, Coroner Chuck Harris is quoted as saying that the heroin deaths in Porter County were up more than 50% in 2017, while deaths from fentanyl doubled. He said Porter County is experiencing, quote, a human addiction tsunami, with the number of deaths related to drug overdoses continuing to climb. Overall, 2017 was a record year for drug overdoses in the region, in part because of the rise of fentanyl, which is a drug 50 to 100 times more powerful than heroin. Again, in Porter County specifically, in 2016, we were in the top 6% of 3,148 counties in the country for rates of accidental drug poisoning. In Porter County, non-fatal ER visits due to opioid overdoses increased 134% from 2015 to 2016, and Porter County was in the top 7 to 8% of 92 counties in Indiana for accidental drug poisoning. So that's definitely had a dramatic effect on us. Let me tell you something about those effects. According to DCS, there's been a 102% increase in the amount of CHINs out-of-home placements. Here, and our CASA program estimates a 150% increase in the total number of children that we served from 2012 to 2017. The national, just to give you an idea, the National CASA Network reports an average of 12% increase from 2015 to 2017, but for us here in Porter County, it's been double that, a 24% increase. Currently, approximately 73 of our 95 open cases are drug-related. What has this been for the CASA and other agencies associated with child welfare? These are some of the things that we've had to deal with. Because of the increase in the number of children, caseloads have increased. The number of kids per case have increased. The complexity of the cases has increased, creating more time demands. There are more and more serious types of allegations, and multiple allegations can be overlapping and affect one another. So substance abuse affects mental health, which can, it can affect domestic violence. Because parents are more transient also, and because there's a shortage of foster placements here, the area that we cover has had to be expanded, and at times that means CASA staff will have to take jobs because there aren't enough available volunteers that are willing to go to East Chicago or Gary or South Bend, where sometimes children are placed. Also, the rates of parental incarceration are higher now. CASAs are visiting jails more often to interview parents. There's now a cross-occurrence of civil CHINs cases with criminal cases because the parents are now often involved in criminal charges as well. So that gives you an idea of the ways in which cases are more complex. In addition, there is a shortage of service providers, foster homes, shortage of shelters for youth and residential facilities, and significantly, the Department of Child Services case managers have at times carried really heavy loads because of these increasing numbers. So DCS has experienced increasing high attrition rates, which also affects us since we work with DCS. Because we had to recruit more CASAs quickly and amidst this increasing complexity, there's been more need for supervision of our CASAs, for peer support, for continuing education, which has also meant more need for staff hours to handle that. Ongoing recruitment is crucial for us, and more retention efforts are needed, and all of that affects our budget, so finance has become an issue. This is how we've handled the changes. Obviously, there was an urgent need to get more CASAs, so we have instituted conducting training sessions on a quarterly basis, regular basis, and as of today, we've increased our volunteer base by about 64% in the last year and a half. There's also been an urgent need to increase staff to supervise those CASAs and to serve the children when there aren't enough volunteers available at any given time due to a leave of absence or a CASA having to leave, which happens. So we have hired more staff, and we've tweaked positions and current needs, and we've begun cross-training staff. We've increased our funding and received state grants and federal grants to cover the new positions, and we aimed to increase the number of cases seen by volunteers, which we have done by about 34%. The average number of hours contributed by volunteers has also increased. At the same time, we tried to decrease the caseloads for volunteers, and we have also got that on a downward trend. We have had to seek funding sources for larger scale recruitment, though, and retention efforts needed to sustain the program. We did win a free one-year scholarship, or I guess you call it an award, for a social media award with Valpo Life. That's helped us. And we're working really harder to retain volunteers by providing a whole host of other appreciation and continuing ed and social activities for them. We formed an advisory group, and that's helped us in those ways, too. We have presence on about 5 websites now, and most importantly, we've developed a much more extensive strategic publicity blitz before quarterly info sessions and trainings. That's all helped us a lot. Our staffs worked really hard to do these strategies, to implement them, and meet the needs of the children. I've received a great amount of support from Lisa at FYSB, and there's been plenty of brainstorming. There's plenty of stress and long days and nights, but I'm happy to say that so far we have successfully been able to make sure that no child falls through the cracks. So thanks very much again for your curiosity and interest, and if you have any other questions or need any more details, I would be happy to provide that to you through Lisa.
Thank you, guys. Those numbers are staggering. Obviously, you guys are doing some really good work out there, and I can speak for myself and probably other council members. Thank you, guys, for what you're doing.
I would just like
I don't
to
want to
say,
speak for you.
I would like to say, Lisa, thank you so much for all of your years of service, and I can honestly say that you have been very diligent in protecting your, where you work and everything, being at every budget meeting, and believe me, from beginning to end, and you were always there. You've done a great job. You've done a service for the county. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Any questions put for her? And
Yeah, I actually do have a couple of questions. Are you guys recruiting out of the educational facilities? Because I know when I worked at Chesterton as a teacher, there were a lot of people that were interested in the CASA program. Is that something that you guys are looking at?
That's actually something that we are going to do. One of our CASAs was she worked in the school in Chesterton, and she set it up for us that we're going to be making a presentation hopefully, to the schools, and getting into the schools and letting, we have some retired teachers and that sort of thing, but not directly to the schools, but that is in our plan for the fall.
One other question I had was, you provided a lot of information. It looks like you guys have done a lot of data studies. Do we share that information with law enforcement? Do you guys give, besides them being directly involved, indirectly, like in the areas that we're struggling? Is there specific communities that we need attention to so that we can kind of...
I did have a lot more of that statistic, and I just kept taking stuff out because there is so much.
Maybe you can email or we can get together later.
Sure, if you want those, yes.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yep.
Thanks for all your
Can do that.
service. Amazing.
Thank you.
And I know with respect to the drug numbers that are staggering in our county, I think our coroner has done just an incredible job of keeping us in the loop on those, in the forefront numbers that we're facing.
Mhm.
So, yeah. Thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions come to mind, please, you know how to contact me, and I'll make sure that Sarah gets it back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up this evening, we have Development and Stormwater Management.
I'll make a motion on the additional $50,000, $350,000, transfers of $2,500 and $2,500.
Let's second that.
Okay. And a first and second, any further discussion or questions?
Can you explain a little of that, Christie, the amount, just so we know, so the public knows?
The 350?
Yeah, where we're going with that?
Well, we used, actually, we're almost to $400,000 for the emergency flood response to the Kankakee Valley, and that's where the $350,000 went, and we just need to reimburse our funds for the rest of the year.
I know you guys, I think you guys were doing some culvert, were you guys doing the culverts? Was that your department that was replacing some of the culverts over the drainage ditches and all that stuff?
Right.
And I know there were you had a high number of those that you wanted to address. How far into that are you?
I'm not sure, Dan, but I could get with Mike Novotny and Bob and get an answer for you.
Great. Thank you.
So, Christie, the 50 plus the 350, is that all related to the excessive flooding, or?
No. The 350 is for contractuals, and then the 50 is for consultants. We have Rich Hudson up in our office that does a lot of the reviews for the stormwater and for the planning side, and we're low on funds there with some surveys that we had sent out to the communities for input, and with that, we're just running low. I want to make sure we have enough in that consulting.
Is there a figure available to tell us exactly how much that flooding cost the county?
I do not know. I had a spreadsheet put together on where the $397,000 went for the Kankakee Valley and the emergency response from FEMA that we were required to do, but I don't know.
I think it'd be good to know if we could put a price tag to what that's, the flooding specifically cost. And if this is, I assume now that it's been so long that this, the payments are over and we've spent the money, but it would be nice to know exactly what that money was and maybe just a little bit of detail in terms of where it went.
And there was an open question about reimbursement. We talked before about if there's anything available federally to reimburse some of those funds. So there's-
I know Mike was working with FEMA a lot the last few weeks.
Jeremy, you're on that Stormwater Advisory Board, right? Do you have any information on this, or?
No, not on that. I mean, I just talked to Mike before we came down here, just talked to him for a little bit too, and he mentioned he's been working with FEMA recently. I still think that's an ongoing issue out there. Yeah, I mean, from what I gathered, so.
Mhm.
Right on, right on.
But, and Mike does, and I can ask him to get a list together. He gives us, all the, call-outs they get, things that they've been fixing in the county going out, so we could probably get some numbers from him on.
Right, and like
How
I
much
said,
work
I
they've
have
done.
a list of some of the fees that were paid out for the Kankakee Valley, for the emergency response, dating back from,
Can you email that to the council and then?
sure,
Go ahead,
dating
share.
back to March 8th through even today, July 25th was the last time I cut a check. So, yeah, I can get this information to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone have any further questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call, please, Vicki.
Councilmember Rivas,
Yes.
Councilmember Graham,
Yes.
Councilmember Jessen,
Yes.
Councilmember Larson,
Yes.
Councilmember Witten,
Yes.
and Councilmember Bozick.
Yes.
6-0.
Next up, we have the cumulative bridge fund, transferring $6,000 from contractual services to other equipment.
I'll make a motion to transfer $6,000 to purchase the welding equipment for the bridge crew and the $2,500 to pay for a jackhammer and other tools as needed for the bridge crew.
Second.
First and second, any questions, comments?
Did we address all that stormwater, Dan?
Dan had it all.
Yeah, I grabbed it all.
Okay, hearing no questions or comments, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Look, we got the highway department.
I'll make a motion to approve the $10,000 transfer from tires and tubes to small hardware to purchase tools to update the shop.
Second.
First and second, what are you guys updating? General tools?
Yeah, none of the shops have an actual, the tool sets that they have are bare minimum for the drivers to use. The tools for the mechanics we need to start updating them because the emissions and everything working on these trucks now is we just need bigger, better tools and more specialty tools, and that's going to help us buy.
And you'll be good in the tires and tubes fund?
Yeah.
Vicki, I know we asked last meeting, but can you tell me how much we have in that fund?
In bridge?
No, motor vehicle.
Motor vehicle.
Oh, motor vehicle.
Meeting's moving fast, Vicki, we're on that.
The cash balance is $1,140,350.
Thank you.
Kind of a side question that relates to this and the previous motion. As we talk about jackhammers and welding equipment and talk about tools, just for my information as a county, do we inventory that, or is there a record-keeping system in place to monitor all the tools that we're buying and have on hand and all that
Yep.
sort of thing?
We have a complete inventory that's broke up by district, District 1, Bridge Crew, District 2 and 3.
There's a master sheet of everything that we
Yes, sir.
own, and does anyone know, or can anyone speak to, do we do that throughout the rest of the county? For instance, for the...
I can say EMA's doing it now.
Okay.
I think the county's supposed to have an asset report, that they turn in.
Why are you considering going over and getting a jackhammer after hours?
You guys,
Rental rates.
you guys provide a loss data sheet for us when you guys find that things are missing?
So far, when I did it last year, 2 years ago on the Bridge Crew, there was only stuff left on there. We had everything, but there was stuff left on there from like the 80s, and everything got updated a couple of years ago and last year again. So everything we should be straight across the board with it, so.
So maybe a more specific question would be, Madam Auditor, do you have such a list from the different departments and,
We maintain a capital asset plan that's part of our annual financial report, and we work in conjunction with the departments. Highway is a big part of that because of all their vehicles and trucks. But that's for capital assets only, not like an inventory and small things that cost less than $5,000.
so less than 5,000, you don't have that on?
Yes, but we do have a capital asset plan, and it gets pretty detailed with depreciation schedules and.
Well, that's not gonna cover this
department by
stuff.
department.
Yeah, it wouldn't cover that stuff at all.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, thank you. No, we actually have one right down to chainsaws, so that's our inventory.
Right on.
Chainsaws,
weed eaters, whole nine.
Yep.
Good, thank you.
No, anyone else have any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Can we get you guys to address the chip and seal while you're here, just so that the county knows that some of those roads that you're doing, and that the application isn't just open tar, because it looks
No.
so much like open tar.
What we did was, with the single seal 12s, we did 4 miles of this single seal, and we do it for $28,000 a mile. That's just like the fog seal that the state did on the 2, they did on 49, they did on 421, we're doing the exact same process. The reason it looks like open tar is because we go back and we will stripe it, and that's the reason you pretty much paint it black again, is to put the striping and make it really stand out. So that's why we did that. If we were to actually pave all that, it's around 90 to 100,000 a mile. We can do this chip and seal, which preserves it for 5 to 8 years for $22,000 to $28,000. So that's why we've started that. They've never done that before. He got it started up in Chesterton, and we plan on carrying it over to other things. So it's a good way of sealing the road. We didn't, the crack seal, when it's past crack seal, this is a very good option. Instead of trying to go out and crack seal this, it's faster. It's not as cheap as crack seal, but it's past crack seal, so.
Is it based on traffic at all? Is it based on traffic, how much traffic's on a road, or does that matter? It doesn't-
This year, after this year, it will be. I cannot speak for the previous, but after this year, everything will be based on Pacer and traffic counts. So,
And I think, I mean, specifically, like if you look at 900, those sections of 900 were paved at different times, maybe 2 years or 3 years in between, so the crack seal's gonna extend the original pavement so that the entire road would be updated in the future at the same time, so.
yep,
Kind of a good idea.
to keep it all on track. 815 miles, we gotta keep it all, gotta keep it all moving, gotta keep it on some, we're trying to plan a schedule from here on out, so,
Very good.
to get all the roads done
Good work,
in a
man.
timely manner.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Right on, guys. Have a good night.
You too, thank you.
Okay, next up, we have the Expo Center.
I'll make a motion on the $2,000 transfer to replenish the disposable account, which is now low due to compactor repair, and my motion will include the $3,000 to replenish the building maintenance account, which is low due to equipment repairs.
Second. Okay, first and second, any questions for Lori?
No, he's doing a great job out there.
Absolutely.
Fairly awesome.
Good work, we're all counting on you.
Amazing, amazing.
It was fun. It was a long 10 days.
It's over.
It's over. Yes, it is.
Summer.
Now we move on to the remodel.
Now you get ready for next year's fair. All right, so, no more questions? Sorry. There are no more questions. All those in favor of the transfer, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. The ayes have it, motion carries. Next up, we have our virtual tour presentation.
I appreciate you giving us some time tonight. Let me introduce the gentleman with me. This is Derek Anderson. He's the construction manager from Stillman, and Dan Graham from Shive Hattery. He was the architect on the, along with one of them. Yeah, there was quite a few that worked on this project. So they have the software program where we can do a virtual 3D walkthrough of what it's going to look like with some of the finishes. There are posters throughout. The posters are not, don't reflect the finishes that we've chosen, so that's why I was glad that he could come and do this presentation. I'm going to let him talk a little bit because he knows more of the technical terms.
Did the commissioners see this yet?
They have, yeah.
Thank you.
So what we wanted to do is modernize the look of the exterior. It's gotten kind of dated, so we downplayed the brick on the front and used some metal building panels and more glass and some really nice, the wood trim that you see on the front here isn't really wood. It's metal siding that has the appearance of wood. And we carry that into the interior also to warm it up with a lot of darker wood colors. What we want to do is make it an event center that people think of when they think of wanting to rent a place for a wedding or some kind of like more informal party that they have. So this is the new entry that we have. We've expanded the vestibule out and taken the old vestibule apart so that the lobby is a little larger and more inviting.
Need my 3D goggles on.
Yeah, if you get dizzy, look away.
Motion sickness, you got a problem.
Yeah, so this is actually porcelain tile on the wall that has a wood appearance, and then we have some faux wood beams, and then all glass at the entryway. Which right now this is aluminum glass, aluminum and glass, and we're going to just change it all glass.
It's like a video game, man.
Yeah.
Like you shoot some guy.
There's no way I could have done that.
Who's the first person that's gonna walk into the door? It's all glass.
Are we doing anything for security? I didn't notice a lot of pilasters or anything out in front of those entryways. Are we just opening that up? Are we gonna have any deterrent for vehicles or anything in front of that building?
There's some bollards out there.
Oh, there
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, there's lighting bollards, but it's going to remain relatively the same as it is right now, open.
Okay. These large venues are
Right.
easy, they call them soft targets, so it concerns me sometimes in these large venues.
Good point, Jeff.
Yeah.
That's a good point, man.
I'll tell them about the TV. So obviously, we want to get the technology up to date. So what you see right here is a TV screen that we will have some directional event names, things like that. People can advertise their events on these. There's one on each side of that main lobby. I think they're ticket booths now.
Yeah, they're ticket windows.
It's like World of Warcraft.
Are the restrooms there in the same?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, can you go in there?
They're updated. Yeah, I'm not sure how well they're modeled. We don't get too many requests to see the inside of the bathrooms. What this is it's still a polykinetic core partition that you have here, but it has a wood grain appearance. But it is plastic. It is easily cleanable and resists graffiti.
Can you look under the stall real quick?
It is in there. If you want to go. So the women's restroom looks pretty much the same, except you don't have urinals. And so this is the main hall right now, and we've got a 90-inch information screen. People can be putting their logos and information about whatever function that they're having. And then these panels are actually, these are actually doors that are concealing utilities that they have on the other side, like power panels, and I think you have a couple of those bits there as well. The ceiling is going to be all painted out, the deck, and then it's going to have, you're not seeing the ductwork here, but it'll be exposed. But below that level, we have these baffles that are actually for acoustics, so it's going to be a lot. It's not as, the space isn't going to be as live as it is now. It'll be a lot better for, conversations and everything. Shoot.
Where'd we go?
Well, at least it's sunny.
Far away.
While he's going back in, if you look.
It's going to take us a long time at this.
If you look on that, there's a garage, an existing garage door right there on the west, and we're taking that out and putting glass doors in there to really open that space up from the road and, no, look.
And we're doing that ceiling, are we adding insulation to that ceiling? We're doing besides the acoustics?
There is no insulation added to the ceiling, no. Whatever is there now is.
Is it sufficient what's there now?
There's many. Isn't it?
Yeah.
It's vinyl faced, I think it's rolling insulation, it's up there, it's probably like an R15 or an R20, it's nowhere near what code
Wouldn't have it today.
required, but it's an open structure like that, so it's.
What's the floor gonna be?
Like carpet?
It's still carpet tiles, 2x2.
This space is a really durable walk-off in the main hall. And then we're calling this the banquet hall. Well, actually, the patio hall now, but the carpet's a little bit nicer in here. It's more of a hospitality carpet with a band going around and down the middle. And then the backdrop still, again, of the porcelain wood tile, and then projector with a screen here. And then the end of the wall, we're opening up to the exterior and adding a patio with planters and the lit dollars.
Boy, I bet you're excited.
Yeah.
So are those pocket doors you guys have retractables to close that section off from?
Yeah, that's actually, those are existing.
Okay. I thought they were still there.
Yeah, there's, this pair right here still works, and so we're going to refinish them and keep them. This pair here doesn't work, and we're not going to keep that. We're going to get rid of that when we patch it up.
So instead of being able to break that space down to 2 smaller rooms, it will always stay one larger room. We're recentering everything, moving a couple doors.
So what's the time frame on all this being completed?
We'll get started August 8th. We'll have it wrapped up by the end of March, and that'll give her most of April to get situated, use the space.
We're updating all the HVAC units and
Yep.
everything like that, right?
Yep.
Plus all the technology.
Yeah.
We're redoing all the technology.
LED lights.
One of the biggest things to me is the mechanical, plumbing, and electrical, just because everything's failing. So,
Yeah, we're replacing the main sewer line underneath the building is getting replaced as well. So the first event is first week of May.
well, wait a minute, you just gave me another month.
I said May 1st. Is it May or June?
It's May, but yeah, if you're saying March, then I might.
We'll be wrapping up March. We'll be cleaning up and taking care of some.
Portage Prom right now.
Is this the connector between the two buildings?
This is
That
the
looks a lot better than.
Yeah,
Portage Prom?
we're taking the connector and making it more like the
In
rest
time?
of the spaces.
Yeah.
So we're taking the same materials in. We have the sound baffles again also, and those 2 big honking things hanging from the ceiling are going away, and running ductwork and really modernizing this.
You guys using tubular in the ceilings, or are they exposed?
No, there's going to be a duct up in the attic
In the-
that feeds down, yeah. And then,
Bam.
Wow.
the
Big.
floor is concrete, sealed concrete. I think it's coming up a little bit lighter than what it should come up, but,
Is this the building that has the fair office in it?
Yeah.
so this is really just modernizing the finishes and updating. And then, the vapor barrier in here is ripped and torn in several places, so we're recladding that with a new vapor barrier product.
And the restrooms.
Yep. This is, I know it just looks like regular, it's going to be a painted block, it's not less than a regular block.
Here we are in the toilet.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a toilet.
Go ahead, Dan, say it.
Look out of the stall.
All right. It's in there.
It is. It is a toilet.
Yep.
How come there's not a lid on that? Joking.
So,
How to get out?
How do you get out of there, man?
Can't get out.
Bam.
It is like Minecraft.
so, any questions, anything anyone wants to see?
No, the bids, as I understand it, have been awarded.
Mhm.
What's the grand total all-in final cost?
$3.2 million.
3.2?
A mere bag of shells. Well, this space should generate revenues, the hope, so.
Said you already got the Portage Prom lined up, that's a good deal.
Did you really?
Yeah, we do it every year. We were just hoping to make sure to be able to, that's a big one to displace. We displaced a lot of of events, but they're hopefully coming back, and plus.
The old Portage Prom, that was a dance I could never get a date to.
When we do all these upgrades, I assume we're going to be charging more for the
Yes.
space?
Yes, the pricing package is complete, so if you'd like to see that, it's been approved.
Could you share that with the council? Thank you.
Yeah, I'd be specifically interested in knowing what it is going forward versus what it's been in the past.
Sure.
That'd be helpful.
Absolutely. I'll send, no, it's not. So I'll send 2018 and then 2019.
Send it to the office, she can disperse it.
This, we're not replacing this one still functions. We're just gonna reflag the outside of
That completely gave me
the
a
match
motion
the rest of the
six.
finishes.
Yeah.
And then the second one that's in there is going away.
It's a much more.
It's torn up and it keeps falling off the track, and, there wasn't much need to separate the
that
space
little room, yeah.
into that little room.
And we never, if we're putting this gorgeous patio in, we didn't want to separate that from
Right.
the rest of the space.
Do you have plans on any, like a coffee parlor or something going in out there during the time when that's available to,
Not a coffee parlor, it might be.
but any kind of?
Eyes opened up. Not drinking, man. Not drinking at the exit. 95 years old. Kids aren't. These kids these days, they're alcohol.
Sarsaparilla? We're gonna have some sarsaparilla.
Wow.
That's pretty exciting to see, I'll tell you.
Lori, I would assume that we're going to have a pretty aggressive marketing campaign for the new venue, and talking about all the new and improved, talking about the new pricing and all that sort of thing. Is that kind of underway and
Oh, yeah.
in the works over the next couple of months, maybe?
Yeah, we've been looking at, you're kind of waiting to get through the initial process, but we've had meetings. There's the marketing campaign will probably gear up and hoping within the next month. The website will have to be completely redone. The logo's getting worked on right now. Because
We're counting on you bringing another $3.2 million next year.
Wait a minute, though, I'm only open 6 months next year.
You're gonna have to double your efforts.
Yeah.
Are we doing anything with the parking areas out front to kind of dress those up? Are we gonna put any kind of planters in place or anything out there? Because this is gonna be quite an attractive entryway to that section of the building.
We hope to redo the landscaping on the drive on the way in the spring.
Yeah.
Maybe you could put like a coffee parlor out there.
Some
sort of lemonade stand.
If everybody leaves for a minute.
Leave me alone for a moment.
I think Dan and I need to have a
Will there be a security system in place?
Motion
detectors or anything like that?
No. Fire suppression, not right now, there's no security.
Lori will stay there.
Look into that.
Way to put that on the record, Mike.
Do we have, and, schools are putting a film on their entry doors, is there any plan for any of that?
We did add that, yes.
Okay.
So, yes, so there is somewhat of a security system because it will be take there's 16 cameras going.
Great.
Where right now we have 2.
Big target for that.
We shouldn't talk about this.
Curious though, speaking of the camera system, will it connect to the sheriff? Will they be, or 911, will they be able to see it if there's a problem?
I'm not entirely sure we should be laying off our security. No, but I'm saying it should be. I wanted to get in there. Which cameras and what we should look out for.
Let me tell you.
911 already has live feeds in certain areas, that's why I was asking.
That's a good question.
That's-
All right, answer me after the meeting.
Yeah.
Just hack it.
When can we do that?
Make sure that's addressed.
Looks good, Dad, looks good. Very exciting stuff, very exciting stuff.
And thank you guys for presenting it. Very interesting. All right, thank you guys.
Congratulations on the fair, too.
Thank
Great
you.
fair.
Lady Houdini was really cool.
The what?
The Lady Houdini,
Oh, did you like that?
she was very
I'm
entertaining.
not gonna lie, I never saw it.
I got video.
Brooks and Dunn was all.
And next we have our health department.
Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna go ahead and make grant money, I'm gonna make a motion on all the additional.
Second.
Okay, first and second, any further discussion, questions? Looks like we're appropriating funds for a new grant year.
Yes, you are.
Okay, roll call please, Vicki.
Councilmember Graham?
Yes.
Councilmember Jessen?
Yes.
Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
Councilmember Witten?
Yes.
Councilmember Bozick?
Yes.
Councilmember Rivas?
Yes.
6.
I don't have a virtual tour for you. However, I have an actual person
There
here
we go.
tonight that I would like to introduce. This is Leticia Cepeda Letty, as we call her. She is our new health administrator down at the health department. So I wanted you all to
Welcome.
see her
Very nice
face,
to meet
and you'll
you.
be seeing it a lot more. So,
Good to have you here.
Thank you.
yeah,
Awesome.
that's it.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome aboard.
Have a good night.
Budgets will be as easy, right?
I wish.
Thank you.
Take care. Next up, we've got the sheriff pension fund, additional $35,000.
I'm going to make the motion to approve.
Just the pension fund?
Yes.
First, we got a second with Mr. Larson. Are there any further questions, comments? How you doing this evening?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. Okay, hearing none.
Opioid presentation tonight, so,
He's been doing a lot of those lately. That's good to hear.
yeah.
Roll call, please, Ms. Vicki.
Councilmember Jessen.
Yes.
Councilmember Larson.
Yes.
Councilmember Witten.
Yes.
Councilmember Bozick.
Yes.
Councilmember Rivas.
Yes.
And Councilmember Graham.
Yes.
6-0.
I'm going to also make a motion on the Adult Probation Community Corrections pretrial grant on all the additionals and the 144.
Second.
First and second, any questions or comments? Ms. Vicki, did you have something?
Just to clarify, this is just the jail part of it. Okay.
Just,
Okay. I know. Just clarify.
Okay.
Yes.
Hearing no questions, roll call, please.
Councilmember Larson.
Yes.
Councilmember Witten.
Yes.
Councilmember Bozick.
Yes.
Councilmember Rivas.
Yes.
Councilmember Graham.
Yes.
And Councilmember Jessen.
Yes.
6-0.
Great, thank you.
Real quick, did we get all the body cams and stuff done? Is that all going in?
well, not yet.
It's in the process?
Yeah, they're ordered and then in the process, just take a little bit of time to get going, but hopefully soon.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Have a good evening.
Just so you're all aware, as of next Monday, we'll be down 7 jailers.
What?
We'll be down 7 jailers. So,
Are we in a recruiting?
Now, you just
push?
hired merit, right? Didn't you just hire, I saw you going through a process. You hired new merit?
yes, well, actually, 4 of them from the jail are going over to the
Okay,
sheriff.
that was going to be
Now
my
we're
next
hiring
question.
4 more, yeah, and then we're down a couple already now, so, yeah.
So when you say you're down some other jails, are you down merit now too, or are you all full
No, merit
strength?
will be all full.
Okay.
Where do you apply to those positions? Is it on our website?
It's on our website. when
You
it's
thinking of giving it a
available.
run, are you?
No, but I
I don't know, when I was a cop, I don't know anything.
I don't think I could be a good jailer. I'm a little dude.
Oh, we have to order. Just wanna.
Thank you. Okay, next up this evening, we have EMA.
I'll make a motion on that $1,500 transfer to cover the hazmat stipends.
Second.
First and second, any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Ayes have it, thank you.
Thank you.
You got anything for us?
We have a presentation and some introductions, and it'll only take about 10, 15 minutes.
You're next on the agenda, EMA presentation.
Want to come on up, I'll bring Lance up with me.
Do you guys have it loaded up and everything, or?
George should have.
Oh, Joy has it, okay.
Yeah, she does. There's been a lot going on over the last almost a year at EMA, and this is just kind of a state of where EMA is now, and just a brief PowerPoint presentation to share with the council and answer any questions that you might have. And we have some guests that will just...
Why don't you start out with introducing them?
Yeah, why don't we do
Joy
that?
just went to get the PDF.
Well, part of the presentation is just, we brought some of our volunteers. We currently have 17 volunteers that put in over 1,000 hours of time for the county, and we just have a few of them that are here tonight. And it's always just kind of nice to put a face with some of the people that are dedicating and volunteering their time. The skill and talent that a lot of these people bring to the table is, you know, I don't know what we would do without them. So if I could just, I think they take up the row back there. If they could just stand up for just a minute, please. But these are some of our volunteers that work for EMA, and like I said, without their help, and it really became evident when we do have a significant incident such as the flood that we were dealing with first part of the year, and these people are just invaluable to the county, so I'd just like to introduce them. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, really appreciate what they do.
Thank you. We appreciate putting all your time and effort into this. We know you're not being compensated, so thank you.
We are one of the few counties that does utilize volunteers for emergency management, and we really see the benefit in like I said, their talents and skills, and Lance has done an outstanding job since he's been there as a director with coordinating their time and developing a training program, so it's, like I said, it's just what these people do is very important to Porter County and our EMA department, so.
Are you guys still looking for more volunteers? Are you booked up right now? Or?
We will be eventually. We want to get our training program in place, but then we will be looking for some additional volunteers.
Can you expand on what a specific skill set would be for them, Lance, or what they...
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the duties that are performed by the volunteers are responding to emergency calls. So as emergency services personnel's capacities are exceeded, they call us and when they need additional resources. So the volunteers will respond to the scene with apparatus in order to assist emergency services, police, fire, and EMS. They also help with planned events such as the fair. They just spend a great deal of time at the fair, helping with the command vehicles, setting things up, making sure things were in order. They maintain all of our tornado sirens at no additional cost to the county, so they save thousands of dollars. And maintaining those is a skill. I mean, they're pretty complex systems. They're tied into computers, and everything is fed back to a central point through a database. And so those are very complex systems, and we have some very, very talented people that take great ownership in that, and again, save the county thousands of dollars. They have upgraded a lot of the equipment. Mr. Bozek had seen the other day the command vehicle, but what that command vehicle originally looked like compared to what it has in it now is a testament to our volunteers and the talents that they have installing hard drives, computer systems, camera systems, and a lot of other different things that we can't talk about, but there's a lot of complex systems that are in that unit, and that is because of the volunteers. They assist with some of the equipment maintenance and some of the building maintenance. Obviously, facility does work on our building. However, they do assist with doing a lot of different things, running wiring and doing things within the building, and then training. There's a great deal of training that has to take place in order to do what they do. So, Joy, can you flip that sound on too?
No?
So what we're going to see here, when I took over in September, we realized that through talking to a lot of people and sending out some surveys that you all had received, that most people don't know what EMA does. And so we've been reaching out to emergency services personnel, chiefs and their personnel, Porter County government employees and citizens in the county in order to kind of reach out and let them know what it is we do. With that said, we had that presence at the fair that I mentioned, but we also decided that we were going to have a booth at the fair in order to reach out to citizens and kind of talk to them a little bit about what EMA does, because again, most people really don't know. With that, we formed a committee, and the EMA volunteers put together a package of what we were going to have at the fair, and this presentation is just a component of that. And this was running during the fair at our booth so that people could come up and see what it is we do and kind of spur some conversation. And maybe while some of our volunteers were talking to citizens, other people that were standing there could kind of look and see what we do. We also are going to have a presence at Turkey Palooza, which is Sunday, which is the effort for 500 turkeys in order to feed 500 families, which now I think they're up to 1,200 every Thanksgiving. So there's a fundraiser Sunday in the park, and we'll have our heating and cooling trailer out there, and we'll have a tent, and this presentation will be running so we can talk to citizens as well.
The sound doesn't seem to be...
Yeah, we can just run it without the sound. That's good. Yeah.
Thank you, Senator.
You don't want everybody to leave.
Be a fast meeting. Too late. Sorry. I know you're judging me.
Individually.
You just have to tell me when you want to.
It should just advance every 3 or 4 seconds. So I guess I can talk through this. Planning is one of the 3 phases of things that we do at EMA. Planning for storms, just such as the flood that we just had, and trying to work our way through situations. What will we do? Training citizens as part of that, though, and preparing them so that they can take care of themselves if something were to happen. We have a hazardous materials response team with 13 members, commanded by Greg Eckhart, and they respond to any type of hazardous material spill or release in order to mitigate that situation and make it safe. They're putting their lives on the line every day, training and responding to calls in order to make sure that things are safe. There's our new vehicle on the side for Commander Eckhart, and then on the right is our hazmat response vehicle with all the equipment housed inside that. We have service and support, which is comprised of our volunteers. They respond to calls for service, as I said, from emergency services, but operate and maintain equipment as well. They're donating in excess of 1,000 hours per year to the county and doing some very detailed and skilled work in order to help the county be safe and also at the same time saving a great deal of money. This is our mobile command center. It's used for large-scale incidents or managing a scene that was used at the fair in order to run weather out of that. We have a heating and cooling trailer that can be used for emergency services personnel when they're trying to recover, say, in the event of a structure fire. We had been called out when it was 100 degrees, and we had 4 firefighters down. We pulled the trailer out, and we were able to cool them down in order to get them back into the fight. Radio communications tower, if we have a situation where there's poor communications, such as in Ogden Dunes on the beach, if we were on a search and rescue mission, we could bring that tower out to enhance communications and give emergency responders a better communication system. Scene lighting, we can bring that to the scene, whether it's a search and rescue, accident reconstruction, and then also we have some mobile assistance that we could provide through the four-wheelers and then different types of apparatus. Those can be used in a myriad of different operations. Disaster response, we were out helping people in the recent flood, assessing with stormwater and a lot of other Porter County employees, but also getting sandbags to citizens and helping both homeowners and business owners. That's Balms Bridge Inn. Those were sandbags that we helped them with. Again, I mentioned the tornado sirens. Those are our personnel doing work on those sirens in order to make sure they're maintained and that they stay in an operational state in case something were to happen. That's our building. Most people say, where are you guys located? And we're on Route 2 just past the Sheriff's Garage and the Highway Department. So that is our building. But again, we reach out way beyond the confines of that building in order to help the citizens of Porter County, and we will continue to reach out and make sure that people understand what we're doing so that we can better serve the community. And our goal and our vision is to be the benchmark for emergency management in the state of Indiana, and then once we achieve that, which we will, we'll reach to higher points. But we're going to continue to reach higher and higher in order to make our organization and our agency better to ultimately benefit the citizens of Porter County. So,
one of the top priorities, again, is to Porter County take the lead in emergency management services throughout. We are kind of like the District 1 hub, so to speak, and we house the District 1 equipment here in Porter County. Lance mentioned about being the benchmark for the state of Indiana, which, is the goal, to have other EMA directors from other counties actually calling Lance to see how things are done. And if you we've been talking a lot about, we should have taken some before pictures of what the EMA facility was like less than a year ago compared to what it is now. It's like night and day. So made a lot of progress in the last few months, and we still have some work to do, but this is just kind of an update and let the council know kind of where we are with emergency management right now.
When you guys mentioned you had 17 volunteers, were they also the same volunteers, the same people sitting back there, or District 1 volunteers as well that are covering both?
Our volunteers help comprise the responders for District 1. In fact, that we're the main supporters for District 1. So if any of
double volunteers.
Excuse me?
They're double volunteers.
Yeah, they're double, exactly. So not only do they serve us, but they will go anywhere within the 5-county region in order to help. And not only do I greatly, greatly respect these people for what they do, for their hearts, and for what they bring to the table, but I think we owe them all a debt of gratitude.
Do you see a number in your head, Lance, that you would feel you're confident with the 17 you have? I mean, do you think there's a 20 or 25 is a perfect number?
I'm confident with the 17. I would like to see maybe 25, and just make sure that we have enough people around the clock to be able to respond. As you know, these people have jobs, and so, sometimes during different hours of the day, if we get a call for service, we want to make sure that we have enough people around the clock in order to be able to respond, in order to help the citizens and the emergency responders who are out there putting it on the line as well.
Has there been an interest in this? Because I know the volunteer fire departments are really struggling to fill their rosters. Has it been the same issue for you guys?
I don't know that we've struggled with that. It's a good question. But we do have people stop in from time to time. But again, it's finding the right people and making sure that there's training for them. And there's a large commitment, and we in fact instituted a 70% attendance rate to meetings and trainings, and we have 2 trainings a month, or 2 meetings and trainings a month. So there's a commitment with that. And again, they're not being compensated for any of that. This is on their own dime. There's times they drive out to Lake County and Jasper County in order to help, and they may respond with their own vehicles on their own
And they're not reimbursed for fuel?
No, they're not, so.
I'm just excited that we have insurance on the building now.
No. And the equipment.
And license, it's license and insurance.
So.
Thank you guys so much for your service. The county could not function without you guys. We really appreciate it.
And I'd like to say hats off to Lance and also Mike in terms of the direction that you're taking emergency management throughout the county. It's clear to me that we're taking some very positive steps forward. Tonight's information has been, to me, educational and informative, and to partner with you guys to help in any way we can, I think is important for us to do. It's important for the county. And to learn about the volunteers behind the scene, I mean, a heartfelt appreciation to you folks, because you're out there working just for your love of the county and your concern for the citizens and that sort of thing, and I think that's something that shouldn't go unnoticed and most definitely should be appreciated. So I'm thankful to hear about the volunteers behind the scene and the work that they're doing to help contribute to the best-in-class department that I think is evolving here in Porter County.
Thank you. They're truly the backbone, and I would invite any of the council members to come out to EMA. We'll give you a tour, show you around, and show you where we've come and where we're going. So.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Keep
you
up the
guys.
good work.
Thank you again.
Thank you, guys. And next up, we've got adult probation.
I'd like to make a motion on all the adult probation requests. The grant, the ADM,
Transfers.
the 144s, the pretrial service, 144s.
All right, we've got a first, we've got a second.
Yeah.
Anyone have any questions or comments? None?
And we'll just, all this is clear, all this is correct? Vicki, you guys are clear with all this?
Yes.
What's going on?
We are right away.
That 170,000.
No shell game involved here, no sleight of hand with the numbers.
It changed a little at the last
Good question, good question, Jeremy.
Well, we're changing some things, Dan, so pay attention.
It won't happen.
No, it will not.
My motion stands.
All right.
Is that, you guys are moving that money around for the training and education? Is that something that just appeared to you guys, or do you think that there was?
Oh, no. So that money has been earmarked for the pretrial pilot program that we have going on right now. So it just designates specific dollars for our pretrial officers so that they specifically can get trained. We have additional money set aside for regular probation officers for training. And basically what happened this year is we obtained more grant money than we did in the past, so we had to make some adjustments. The fiscal years are different, so we had to make some adjustments to allow for the additional funding coming in.
Great.
Perfect.
Thanks, we'd love to hear about additional money.
Yeah.
Any further questions or comments? All right, hearing none, roll call, please, Ms. Vicki.
Yes. Councilmember Witten?
Yes.
Councilmember Bozick?
Yes.
Councilmember Rivas?
Yes.
Councilmember Graham?
Yes.
Councilmember Jessen?
Yes.
And Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
6-0.
Great.
Awesome.
Have a good evening.
Well done.
Now we have Parks and Rec.
I'd like to make a motion on all the Parks and Rec requests.
We've got a first, we've got a second. Are there any questions or comments?
It's almost all grant or bridge fund and with a little bit of
Signage,
transfer
yeah.
from bridge.
We'd like the explanation for every one.
Sure.
I probably could.
She's
If
probably
I can't, I'll have to shift it on to Walter.
We'll bring it on, Walter. Okay, did anyone have any questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Bozick?
Yes.
Councilmember Rivas?
Yes.
Councilmember Graham?
Yes.
Councilmember Jessen?
Yes.
Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
And Councilmember Witten?
Yes.
6-0.
All right. Thank you, have a good evening.
Good night.
Okay, now we have our second reading.
Whereas it has been determined that it is now necessary to appropriate more money than was appropriated in the annual budget, therefore be it ordained by the Porter County Council of Porter County, Indiana, that for the expenses of the taxing unit, the following additional sums of money are hereby appropriated out of the funds named, and for the purposes specified subject to the laws governing the same. Cal Trail Covered Bridge Fund, $4,850. Stormwater Fund, a total of $400,000. Sheriff Pension Fund, $35,000. Brinker Grant Fund, $5,202.72. Parks Grant Fund, $5,000. Health Immunization Grant, a total of $68,483.45. Coastal Management Grant Fund, $1,087. ArcelorMittal Common Prairie, $1,533.16. Adult Probation Pretrial Grant, $124,643.48, and that concludes second reading.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, any discussion, comments? Is that a roll call? Roll call, Ms. Vicki, for second reading, please.
Councilmember Rivas?
Yes.
Councilmember Graham?
Yes.
Councilmember Jessen?
Yes.
Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
Councilmember Witten?
Yes.
And Councilmember Bozick?
Yes.
6-0.
Thank you. Next up, we have our attorney report, Mr. Harper.
I don't have anything at this stage to report in a open meeting. There's been some, of course, some discussion back and forth in regards to the 4D lease, but beyond that, nothing new to report.
Well, along that vein, I guess I'd like to make a couple comments, or at least a couple thoughts. So, I've had numerous conversations with our county assessor with respect to the 4D space, and I have a couple questions about that because I'm interested in the square footage for the lease, so that.
Well, we're going to get into that, John.
You want to come on down?
Yeah, could you?
No.
So
I'd like to zero out your budget.
So while John's coming up, Harold and I have also had a lot of discussions, and I've had some discussions with the county attorney about the lease, and because we've asked Harold to do some investigative work, and we do have a preliminary sort of, not so much an opinion, but, well, maybe some legal opinion on the lease from our attorney. In talking to Harold, we thought it best that we do not discuss that in a public meeting, that if we do have discussion about that, since it's privileged communication, that we do it in an executive session. But, that having been said, I've got concerns about that lease, and with respect to the validity of the lease itself. But moreover, then we started drilling in a little bit with the assessor in Peterborough, and a little bit of it bleeds over to us. Of course, they're looking at the exemption, as you know, and the square footage that was put in the exemption request. But from our perspective, I was also concerned about the amount of square footage that we're actually occupying with respect to what the lease says we're supposed to occupy. So, John, I have a couple questions for you.
Okay.
So, if I may be so bold. So where is Peterborough on this?
To answer that question, I have Scott Potts is with me from, what company are you with, Scott?
Assessment Analytics.
Yes, and he measures properties for a living, essentially. He's measured a lot of properties here in the county for us over the years. So the board asked me to, I sent everybody a letter. I think that would be a good reference point if everybody's at least looked at it and referenced it. The board asked me a couple of different times to do a couple of different things as we were looking at the exemption that was filed for the 2016 tax year. And to do that, I went out myself once and did a little measuring, and then the board asked that we have a more detailed inside measurement done to come up with a good square footage for that facility. And in doing so, Scott's report states that the leased area for that prosecutor space is 2,758 square feet. Now, the assessor found that some of the assessor's records were wrong as well. As far as the overall square footage of the building, we've remeasured that based on Scott's, or we've applied his measurements with a total square footage of 14,739 square feet, down from the 17,000 square feet that we had it at. So basically, we've done a reassessment on the property as well as a remeasuring of the property, and we've worked out some of the kinks with the measurements and the square footage.
So I'm assuming, all right, so we have two issues here. We have, one, the square footage in the contract, and I know one can argue the common area stuff, but in my reading of that contract, it talked about square footage that the county was supposed to be using, but then later in the contract, it talked about common areas, so that would lead one to believe that it is separate and apart than the 3,200 square feet. Moreover, I think that there would be some problems with the taxpayers paying for areas that the county isn't using, like an area that's very rarely used by the county, but moreover used by private tenants. That seems an odd use of taxpayer money. I think it would also fly in the face of the exclusive use of the county for purposes of an exemption. So in looking at this, and John, you and I have talked, so the contract seems to beg to 3,200 square feet. The measurement you're getting is 2,758, and the exemption talks about 3,900 square feet.
Yeah, yes, the exemption application is 3,900 square feet, which was probably the tipping point for why the assessor,
Yourself, you're talking about yourself.
Was asked to start to look into this property. That 3,900 square feet is more than what we believe to be utilized there for the prosecutor's space. And the board will discuss this further. We've just got the report on Friday. I sent it out to you guys. I sent it out to the board at the same time on Monday. And the board is doing some email communication on when to have a next discussion on this matter. But there are two members of the board who have said that they would like to discuss this matter further, so that means it will be discussed at a later date. We haven't been able to put the calendar together on that yet. But the process would be, is my understanding, would be that we would determine to open a hearing. If the board decides to do that, then we will have to send out a notice of hearing 30 days in advance. We probably would need to notify everybody that's involved. One other time we had this happen was not on an exemption matter. It was with Porter Hospital, where we had to open up a full-blown hearing on the matter and send out some subpoenas to for records and for potential witnesses. So I don't know that that's where this is going. I don't know if we need to do that for some square footage issues, but that would be the board's decision to make.
Well,
and the attorney.
The problem with this space, and and thank you for your preliminary numbers, I guess I have grave concerns in any case that the square footage isn't jiving up on all three of these venues, for lack of a better term, not just because it's county money, but there's federal reimbursement money flowing in here too, so we're talking about some federal dollars. I would be profoundly concerned to learn if at the end of this investigation or this inquiry that you have, that A, Porter County is paying for square footage that it doesn't occupy, and I would be equally concerned if federal dollars are being utilized for a space that is not being occupied. Those two concerns seem to be glaring, so I want to know the end of that. I want to know when you're done with this and what PETA BOA does with this is going to be of concern to us, not just because of what I just said, but also we need to know how much space do we really occupy. So that I get that. I also still have concerns about, as I said before, the way in which this was extended, this contract. It's just baffling to me. But so I would expect that during our budget session, I will take exception to appropriating, or at least voting to appropriate funds for this contract any further, barring any other information that may, lead me to believe that I should rethink that. So I would suggest, I would like for us to discuss as a council in some further detail with our attorney the legalities of the contract and what we intend to do about it with respect to appropriating funds for it. And I think that should occur in executive session. I would also like to know from the commissioners when they would have space available for 4D, and if it's farther than we were originally told, I would like to know why. What's the delay? Do we not have space available that we could move 4D into sooner? Should we choose as a body not to appropriate funds any further for this? So there's like multiple things going on here. It's almost like we're juggling hand grenades and, hoping the pin doesn't fall out. So I find this very problematic, just very problematic. I mean, and you're the assessor, so, what are your preliminary thoughts on this, John? Do you find this to be odd?
Scott could talk about the standard that's applied across the spectrum as far as from one county to the next and how they're supposed to be measured. And if you wouldn't mind, if that's okay, could Scott say a couple things about?
And Scott, you've done work for the county, you do work for the county?
Yes, I currently have a contract with the county, but most of that work's in Portage Township. So, and I have worked in the county off and on since the mid-1990s. Worked for township assessors then, worked for John Scott, worked for Candy Crone. So I've been around the county a little bit. I've also worked in several other counties in Indiana now. Currently, contracts in LaPorte County and White County. It's close to home. I'm getting older and don't like to travel as much as I used to. But I've worked, worked in Cincinnati as well. I've worked for the State Tax Board, holding hearings for them. I did hearing for Alcoa down in Newburgh, Indiana.
Okay, so you do work for us now. That's what I was wondering. But was PETA BOA the one that reached out the contract with him after the question of the assessment, or was it the direction of us asking the questions towards you?
It's a combination of both things. It was it was mainly PETA BOA, though, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew that from some discussions with some council members that you were interested in this. I would forward that on to the board as we met a couple times since this discussion has come up, and notify them of what was going on and what we'd found and things like that. So they asked that I contact Scott for an official measurement, per se. That's not my word, and it's not somebody else's word, but now we have an independent third party to examine the facility.
And the contract says that we lease out how much? 32? And you went out and measured, and what did you find?
I came up with 2758. And those are interior measurements. Generally, when spaces are leased, they're leased by interior space because that's what you use. It's really uncommon to use exterior wall space. I've seen it done, but it's usually done in the context of small storage buildings, like a 40 by 60 pole barn, something like that. nobody's measured the inside, but they say, well, I've got a 40 by 60 pole barn, and they lease that. But generally, office and retail spaces are done by interior measurements. And so that's what I did with this building. I looked at all the spaces that were leased in the building, looked at the common areas, took measurements, verified measurements that were on blueprints that we had of the building, took my own measurements, and checked those. Interesting thing about this building, the other leased spaces appear to be done by the interior square footage, where this space, if you were to add in the exterior walls, there's also a small storage area, and if you add that space in there, you could get this up to 3,200 square feet, but it's not easy.
Is that our storage area?
No, it's actually a dead space at the top of the stairway going up in the from the basement. Lots of dirt and spiders in that space, but I don't think anybody goes there. I may have been the first one to visit it in a while. And so when I was verifying, I had sets of plans that showed the layout of the interior. I had another set of plans that showed the layout and then shaded areas for the leased areas. And so in measuring, I found out that the other leased spaces matched what they were supposed to have leased. The only oddity in this building is the prosecutor's office, and it was quite odd. There was some variation from what I had, from what they had. Most of the square footages were the same. Nothing varied by more than 20 square feet. So that's pretty close. Even the second floor office to the front, which has angles in it, and there's a lot of cuts in it on the inside, and it's hard to really get around that thing. It was within 20 square feet. So the only oddity was that first floor office.
And John, in your travels to the building, I know that as part of one of the extensions that we found out about years later on the contract, there was talk of a build-out that was going to be done, some remodeling, some improvements. I mean, did you see that?
Yes, so Scott went inside, and I asked him to look out for newly constructed areas, new walls. We found, Scott, go ahead and answer. He went in to look for that. I did not, but
I can't find any indication that walls were moved or not moved in the building. Because of the way the building is constructed, all of the interior partitions are just ceiling high. There's another 4 or 5 feet then to the next floor up. There's a tin ceiling, an old tin ceiling still there. So if you look up past that space, none of those partition walls extend very far past the suspended ceiling. So if you were to move an interior wall, there would be no scarring to the building per se above. The scarring on the walls would be covered up and painted. The only scarring that might exist would be underneath the floor covering. Well, I couldn't cut that out. So there's no way to really tell. There's an oddity about the middle unit. The restroom for the west unit encroaches on the space in the middle unit in an odd form, and it makes kind of a T shape. And that just seemed strange to me. Also, there's a raised floor in the middle unit that seemed kind of strange. And so, I wondered if originally, and those things are speculation. I speculated a lot of things to try and figure out why there was a difference, because I saw a difference, I didn't see it anyplace else, and I was trying to understand how I could arrive at that much more square footage.
So if we were to take a virtual trip back in time to when this contract was originally negotiated, however that was done before our time, so there was a thought that the county was going to occupy a space certain. That apparently has changed, it sounds like. Not in contract form, but in usage. Do you have anything from that far back? Nothing?
No.
Just using your numbers, you said you had 2,758 square feet in that office structure.
Yes.
There's 9 tenants in that building, correct?
Yes.
Okay, you gave me a total general common area of 5,396 square feet.
Yes.
Excluding the common area that was on the second floor of 725 square feet.
Right.
If I divide it into 9 tenants, I got 599.56 square feet of additional space available to our 4D program. Is that correct?
I think, and I have to look at that figure again, when I did that, I was looking for
My question is that I come up with 3,357 square feet possibly available to us as an entity.
Yeah, but for the exemption, it can't be 10 different tenants use the area. It doesn't work that way.
What if there's less tenants, and that changes that number too?
How many
As people leave.
do we have in other facilities where a common area is involved?
We don't have any. I've researched, I'm trying to find a match for this particular common area.
The only reason I'm asking,
Yeah.
John, is because if this does go to litigation or some
Yeah.
issue there,
Mhm.
I mean, what is the state example? What is
I've called the state on it, and they have no,
Right, so we could be tied up trying to decide state law or federal law for whatever, forever on this issue if we decide. What I'm saying is litigation is going to be so outrageously expensive for us to follow that course. How do we remedy what we've got currently?
To answer your question, maybe clarify a little bit, what I did is I came up with the balance of the square footage left over after the lease space was taken out, after the exclusive common area was taken out, and after the mechanical rooms were taken out. And I call that general common space. And so that not only includes space within the building, it also includes space that's occupied by the exterior walls as well. So it's all included in that general factor.
Right, and those will be splitting hairs when we decide how we're going to, I mean, we
I
all
guess
know.
generally speaking, there's a way to do it, and there's a way, that we
Right.
follow the
Have we
general.
stretched the laws or something it's definitely stretched? It looks to me that we're probably beyond stretching. We probably encroached on breaking the law at some point with this lease. I mean, it obviously sounds.
We did?
Well, I'm saying that the county made an agreement on this lease that is
Oh,
probably.
yeah, there's
at
huge
some
red
point-
flags.
Right. So, I'm not saying that it's illegal, but it's probably very close to that.
Here's, I guess our question is, or that's, let's start on so with respect to the exemption, Peterborough's got to meet, if they want to.
Yes.
They've got to address the exemption, they've got to make some decisions whether or not there's 3,900 square foot of exemptions that are available. From our perspective, during our budget session, we need to decide whether or not we're going to continue to appropriate for this. We need to find out from the commissioners what the earliest date anyway they could move 4D over, because we don't want to be stuck without space.
Right.
There's that problem, right? So, I mean, we do want the resolution that's quickest and best for the taxpayers, there's no question, Jeff, there's no question.
Has anyone asked the owners of this building why the difference?
Scott was out there today. Go ahead, Scott.
I've talked to the property manager. and-
Who's the property manager now?
Her name is
It's not Chuck Williams.
Sharon Allen is her name. And we've discussed this building, and I told her what I found with the square footage. And she went back, there are dimensions on the architectural drawings, and she went back and tried to recreate the 3,200 square feet herself, and was unable to do it. Now, she didn't come up with my figure either. And so we have, we were speculating where that might have come from. One of the things we talked about and about the middle spaces, maybe the middle office space didn't exist at some point in time. And then they created that out of the two other spaces, the prosecutor's office and the attorney's office to the west, as a possibility. Another possibility was maybe in that lease they included the exterior walls. Those exterior walls are pretty substantial. They're 2 feet thick on the sides. Wow. So it's that adds up. Now, that doesn't quite get you to the 3,200 square feet, but in the shaded-in drawing that I had, they showed that storage room was included there. And so when you put the storage room in, well, then you're starting to get in that ballpark. It's getting close.
So the bottom line is, we're only using 2,700 square feet, 2,758 square feet. The contract's for 3,200. We're not using that space. That's, I mean, that's, what are we, at $28 a square foot, that's,
or
you just raised it there.
And I'd be curious, I mean, I'm really curious about what PETA BOA's findings are with respect to the exemption.
We'll keep you up to date on that.
Because I know you can go back, 3 years if there's,
We've talked,
How soon is that gonna happen?
I would expect, now, we were hoping to have it August 27th, but we didn't get it in 30 days, so middle of September, it looks like, at this point.
So we're still working on budgeting?
I agree with Dan, I think that right now we need to try to coordinate a executive session with the commissioners, because this is something that I'm not interested in funding moving forward. There's just too many oddities, irregularities, funnies, whatever you want to call them, this is just not right.
I guess I'd be yes, but I would be curious to hear how PETA BOA ends up.
You'll be the first to know.
Because we can, and in the meantime, Jeremy, what we can do is we can reach out to the commissioners, and ask them, and tell them, hey, look, there's a distinct possibility that you're going to need to move this 4D over quicker than what you originally told us you'd move it over at.
But my concern also with that is if they're not able to move it, we have to pay another year at this place. Well, we're overpaying for the amount of square footage.
Absolutely.
Exactly, that's exactly. So we've got multiple avenues here that the facts are going to take us down, and I just think we need to be prepared for all of them and make some decisions as a council on how far, like Jeff said, how far down the litigation road are you willing to go or wanting to go? What does that get us? How far down the, getting, subleasing or whatever the road takes us to. But I think we need to be ready. I think we need to be ready.
This thing isn't dead.
No.
Till we sublease the 500 square feet we're not using.
We gotta find it, it's not there. It's not there.
We got a virtual space.
Yeah.
I knew.
I'll put one of those together for you guys.
No, not publicly.
So thank you, John.
Okay.
So, more on this later, but if you would let us know, as we move down, that pathway.
Will do.
Appreciate it very much.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Scott.
For all your work, Mr.
Okay, no problem.
Yes, thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks, Scott. Thank you, Scott. Nice meeting you.
Okay, now, do we have any other matter that may properly come before the council?
Yeah, I just want to thank you, President Bozak, for bringing those presentations,
Yeah,
today.
it's good to get, 3 years worth all in one night.
All in one night.
I gotta say, I don't want to be. I gotta say something. There's very few things that a Republican councilman can do to impress me. And I gotta tell you, Mr. Jessen, how far did you ride? 428 mile bike ride this guy took. I'm impressed. First of all, he's older than, Methuselah.
72 miles one day.
But, well done, Mike.
Thank you,
Well done.
thank you.
And he's not limping today.
I'm waiting for the next comment. but hopefully we end it there.
What is there? High note?
I think you single-handedly created our soft start back to work program.
Yeah, there we go.
Next year, I'm going to ride with you, and I'm going to do 1 more mile than you. Where's Mickey? All right. Make a motion to adjourn.
We have a first. Second, anyone?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Have a good evening, everyone.